right, everyone, welcome back. This is round 2 front 9 coverage from the 2019 Green Mountain Championship from Smugglers Notch Resort. This is road life commentary coming at you. Nate Perkins and Paige Pierce.
Yeah, so we got a few competitors under par. Rebecca Cox and Sarah Hokom are tied at the top, and then we have Jessica Weese at even par, and we'll have Kristen Tattar rounding out the lead card at 2 over. We're all fighting for some Pro Tour Championship standing points, so this tournament's pretty important as it's our last tournament before that championship. And today we're out at Fox Run, and it's quite windy today.
Yeah, super windy and really completely different style than the Brewster Ridge course that we saw during round 1. This is going to challenge quite a few different shot shapes and the women's ability to keep it in bounds when we've got, as you said, very windy conditions out here. Hole 1, it's a par 4, 600 feet. You're teeing off from out of bounds, actually.
Yeah, you want to make sure you get it over that path. If not, you have the option to either play it where it goes OB or to play it from the drop zone.
And it looks like we do not have the shot cam on this first shot. Rebecca Cox and Sarah Hokom are both landing inbounds. Jessica Weese is getting one way up there. Anything past that first grouping of trees is pretty premium.
Yeah, if you're short of that, you kind of have a little bit of, like you said, a shot shape to contend with. Ooh, that's going to be real close, right on the line.
Yeah, that's going to be close. And now we've got that shot cam back for you guys. And you can see just how tight this one actually is. So there's OB right and left and deep of this pin, actually.
Ooh, and Hokom going with her crave here, looking for that overstable finish. Ooh, just about skips it in the basket. Wow.
Oh, and look, Kristen is just in bounds by half a disc length.
Ooh, a little bit too low. It was actually a good angle. I actually didn't mind that Anheuser release, just a little bit too low and finds that hill. And Jessica's looking to line up that hyzer on the outside. Really overstable. She's going to be actually right of the basket, even though going way wide. Oh, no.
It looks like...
rolled almost OB, huh?
Yeah, it looks like Kristen is just safe on the right side as well. She's just going to lay this one up. Just a little low on that approach. She's going to leave herself a tester for the par.
And Rebecca, you know, we saw her play super well here at Worlds last year. And again, she finds herself on the lead card out here at Fox Run. A course that she plays really well. Jessica given that nice height, but just a little bit left and will not be able to connect there.
And that was Sarah's attempt from just outside the circle, and she left that one a little bit too low. And Kristen cleans up with a good-looking spin putt. Really excited to see Kristen play on the lead card again. She's been having a great season. In my mind, one of the breakout female players of the year. We've heard her name a little bit in the past, but she's really just kind of like confirmed her position as one of the top 5 players in the women's division, wouldn't you say, Paige?
Yeah, absolutely. She's the European Player of the Year. She just came off a win in Canada, and she's been placing top 5 all year long when she's been in the States. So this is coming up on the end of her U.S. tour, and she's looking to add another one to a podium.
And we are moving into hole 2. It's a par 3. There's OB on the right. There's also OB deep that can come into play, but really it's just about hitting this first gap right here. And Rebecca does so nicely. She kind of trails off a little to the left.
Hokom opting for the standstill with a crave here.
Wow, that is such a technical shot. Wow.
Beautiful.
That
nice and low,
so
too.
Difficult of a shot to get that close with the forehand.
Jessica with a beautiful turnover. Wow, almost hitting the basket.
These are amazing shots.
Kristen not quite getting the disc flat. A little bit of a kind of like a lazy release there. Misses left and we'll be left with this for par. Oh my God, amazing.
Wow, no jump required from outside the circle. Look at that. Spin it back.
Amazing. Good power with the legs, the push off. What a way to par that hole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Amazing putt. I'm super excited to watch her putt this round. She was talking about how her putt feels so much more confident just after the last couple weeks. Really working on it. Rebecca was pin high for birdie. Doesn't quite connect.
Oh,
Jessica.
Wow. There's that stout Anheuser putt. Look how much of an angle this one hits the chains at. Really one of the most unique styles in the game.
Mm-hmm. She rarely lets a disc go flat. Very rarely. And Hokom with this for birdie. And she'll be moving to 3 under par, extending her lead over Rebecca to 1. We're moving into one of the tightest holes on the course, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Hole 3, 305 feet. This is a blind shot. You're playing baby uphill at first, and it kind of slopes down toward this green. There's OB right. There's also OB long that can come into play if you sail this pin, but definitely a really tight gap, really unique kind of shape. It really sets up great for the right-hand backhand flip up. Sarah is actually going to attack this one with a forehand.
Yeah, and this is her relay, her super flippy fairway driver that she loves. Just a little bit low and doesn't get over that mound. Jessica, quite the opposite. A little too high there and is going to filter off to the left. Rebecca with her
This
Explorer.
is looking great. If I can check up. Just kind of trails off a little early. She's going to have an obstructed look for her birdie.
Kristen, such a beautiful hyzer flip to flat, and look at that thing just penetrating.
No, stop.
No.
Stop.
Oh my goodness.
That is so unfortunate. That OB right there, definitely one of the more controversial OB placements on this course. And she is actually going to be out of bounds long after such a beautiful drive.
Lots of action on it, too. Jessica with a step out sidearm hyzer.
Oh, she almost sunk that one.
Good speed control. Sits right by the basket. And Rebecca is opting to lay up. You don't want any part of that green if it's obstructed. Ooh.
Wow. And
amazing
that is
putt again.
Beautiful.
Kristen.
No jump required. She is outside the circle right there.
Wow. 2 big time putts in the first 3 holes. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Hokom now with her eye on. This is her
Oh, wow.
go-to putter at the moment. She was going back and forth between 2 putters whenever she was kind of trying to figure out if she wanted to be a spin putter or a push putter. Now she is very committed to the spin putt, and she's loving that eye on for that.
All right, we are moving into hole 4. It's a par 4, 465 feet. We're flying from the men's pad. The ladies have a little bit shorter of a pad. This left side that we're flying up right now is incredibly tight. We've got OB left, OB right here. You can opt to play to this little island to the right. And it looks like Sarah is lining up the forehand to do just that. She's going to throw this. Is that a relay?
That's her trace, her sparkle trace.
Okay.
She's going high speed, overstable. Oh my goodness, she took a branch down with her and she laughs it off. Just a little bit wide there, but yeah, you called it. She was going for that safe island, as is Jess.
Oh, and Jess with a good save shot, but she's put herself behind that giant bush. That's going to be a pretty tricky lie.
Yeah, and that's the only tree on that right side.
Yeah.
And Rebecca, again with the Explorer, we've seen her throw this now 3 times already. We know it's a go-to for her.
Oh, man, and that actually went out of bounds right. That's pretty difficult to reach the out of bounds right. She really had to turn that one over.
And Kristen, good position, just in front of Jess and to the right of the tree, so she shouldn't have that in her way. Hokom now getting her shock right up on the green. And Hokom also coming off a win just last weekend in Nantucket over Katrina Allen.
Yeah, big win.
Big win for her. And she is last year's Pro Tour champion. So, this event could be huge for her if she can come out with a win here and head into the Tour Championship with a few extra points.
Jessica just goes to lay that one up. This whole forest green is typically pretty windy, pretty exposed. And that's a good putt into the headwind from Rebecca. The pin is just elevated enough to make these players kind of think about these putts. Sarah also with a good putt into the headwind for par. And Kristen going to pick up a nice birdie on the field. This one definitely playing over par for the ladies.
And you can see by the flag just how windy it's getting.
Oh my goodness. We are moving into one of the most difficult holes out here at Fox Run Meadows, hole 5. It's a par 3, 445 feet, plays pretty significantly downhill. As you can see right here, we have just ripping winds. There's OB right, OB left. There's a lake to the left. There's just so much that can go wrong on this whole page.
Yeah, it really requires a powerful shot that's penetrating forward. And that one just filters out a little bit too left and will find OB short of the trees even. So it's still a hard approach from there even. Hokom going with a shock up the left side. She stays safe, but she is not in birdie range. And this is Jess's super overstable Star Destroyer. She relies on this one in the wind a lot out here at Fox Run. Wow. Gorgeous hyzer from Rebecca. A tiny bit too inside, but that's the better miss. If you push it a little too outside and you find that OB, you're looking at a best case bogey, but your second shot's still from like 340 feet.
Yeah, this one can lead to a number very quick. These ladies are playing it really, really smart.
Kristen trying to minimize the damage, just trying to get one onto the green and just take her OB stroke and settle for that bogey.
Moving into hole 6. It's a par 3, 290 feet. It's a blind shot playing left to right up the hill. There's OB everywhere, but hole 6 tends to be one of the easier holes on the course.
Yeah, if you have a good sidearm like Sarah, you just pop one out to the left and let it hyzer in to the right. If not, and you're more of a backhand player like Rebecca, you're trying to put an anhyzer somewhat close to that tree, but you got to give it some height because at the end it does play uphill. And Rebecca does not get it high enough. She will be falling in that OB short of the basket.
And you can see the right to left wind just kind of shoved Rebecca's shot down. Kristen's going to make that correction and turn this one over. This is beautiful.
Wow. What a technical backhand. And you saw how windy it was right when she released it. Oh, and Jess just swings that one way too wide. That one is going to be OB quite a ways short of the basket. Whoa, that's a good spot. I feel like it was a little bit shorter than that, actually.
Yeah, it's hard to tell with that uphill look, but definitely looks like a bit of a favorable spot. Same result, I believe. Yeah. But Sarah with a good putt back into the wind. Yeah, Sarah's putt's looking pretty good to start this round, and if she can, that's really the only thing that holds her back, typically. She's great at hitting those fairways, and as soon as she gets that putt dialed is when she's dangerous.
Kristen with another great birdie there, and she's going to be moving up on the leaderboard.
All right, we are moving into the longest hole of the round, hole 7. It's a par 5, 1,085 feet. You've got to decide whether you want to clear that first OB creek. Then we've got OB left and OB right the entire length of this hole. This one is definitely one of the hardest holes on the course. Now, this first shot is only a couple hundred feet, maybe 250 to clear the creek.
Yeah, you have a couple different options. Some people go hyzer on the outside to minimize the risk. Some people, if you're going sidearm, like Sarah, is grabbing a trace here on the outside left. And there is that straight shot available too, but it's a little more technical. Rebecca looks to be lining up the outside on a wide hyzer. You can really see how windy it is, how the discs are just bouncing in the air. Jess is going with that overstable destroyer. Again, wow. So much action.
Oh, what a great view. Rebecca lining up her shot.
Out left, and you actually, if you get to that spot, you have a solid extra 70 feet to work with, so you can allow your disc to hyzer out left. Really, if you just stay in bounds on all these shots on this hole, you're going to be in good position to get a par or better.
Yeah, hole 7 racks up some big numbers every year, especially when it's windy out here. This is just such a tough hole. And these ladies are really playing it great so far. Sarah has this left. If she can get up and down from here, she's about 350 out, maybe just a little under that.
And she really trusts this shock, especially in the wind. It's super overstable, and she knows it's just going to dig into the ground.
I kind of want to braid my hair like that. Jessica's rocking that braid today.
Yeah, she is. Finds herself a little bit outside the circle. Might even be pushing circle 2. Oh, Kristen does not let that one go wide enough and will sail OB right.
And you can see that's a danger on any hole where you're playing downhill and there's a prevailing wind. That if you if you give the wind anything underneath your disc, it's gonna pick it up and carry it the direction that you put it on. As you can see with both Rebecca and Kristen's shots, just got carried long OB.
Hokom with a good approach, just right by the wood. Same thing with Jess, and Rebecca is now looking at this from just about circle's edge. Into a headwind, she decides to lay it up. And Kristen's, I'm not sure if that was a layup or not.
I don't think so.
I feel
so like she
either.
was going for that one.
Just a little bit low there.
But Sarah with a really solid par. She's going to be picking up a couple strokes on Kristen.
And on Rebecca as well with that OB stroke.
Yeah, she's picking up 2 on Rebecca. Good pars from Jessica and Sarah. We are moving into another really difficult hole. Hole 8. It's a par 4, 550 feet. Plays pretty significantly uphill. You've got OB left, right, and long. And again, we are going to be playing directly into the wind.
Sarah here lining up with her Photon. This is one where I feel like you want to get a lot of distance off the tee because the second shot is quite a bit tighter. It gets more narrow the farther you get down the hole. So if you want to play aggressive on this one, I think it's best to throw it on your first shot. Jessica, oh my goodness, this is her 162-gram Champion Valkyrie.
She likes that flippy plastic.
Yeah, I'm hoping this one's a tailwind. Flies nice. Flies really good. She's right in the center of the fairway. Doesn't get a lot of movement there. Good disc choice. I think it's super interesting to see how different each player's game is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the better parts about disc golf, really, is just there's an infinite amount of ways that you can make the disc fly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really the ladies, you can see it more so than with the men, the different styles. It's very evident. I mean, all 4 of these women have completely different styles.
Absolutely. Kristen didn't want to push that one too much. She's going to find herself just outside of circle 2. You know, if you pump that one a little bit flatter, you definitely have a more manageable putt, but it's kind of scary, especially in this wind. Hokom also right around circle 2, gets that one a little high and just loses speed and drops down. Jess is looking to get a little bit closer. Nice and wide, good turn on it. But still right around the same spot.
Yeah, this one's tough to reach. I mean, playing uphill into this headwind.
Rebecca with the farthest drive. Let's see if she can capitalize on this and get herself in the best position. No. All right. Well, maybe we'll see a long putt here.
Yeah, a long windy putt. Look at that. The wind just taking that one out of Kristen's hand, kind of sending it into a wobble.
And at this point in the round, it did get quite a bit windier.
And the wind just kind of lifts Rebecca's up and just carries it long.
And it was swirly, I feel like.
So swirly. Yeah, we're right. This course is right below Vermont's tallest mountain, Mount Mansfield. And when it gets windy here in this valley, it does tend to be pretty swirly and comes from different directions. You can be throwing into a headwind and then putting back at the basket also into a headwind.
It's crazy how that happens. It really plays tricks on your mind. And after seeing Rebecca sail past, we see layups from Hokom and Jessica. And Rebecca's left with this tester into a tailwind. Oh, and just doesn't quite get it up high enough. This is a very unfortunate miss from well inside the circle.
And you can see just how much time Sarah's taking on this even 10-footer because of how windy and tricky these putts can be. If that disc comes out of her hand with any kind of nose up or nose down, it's going to be a miss.
And I appreciate her taking her time too, because those, like you said, absolutely, that was 10 feet. But in that wind, it feels like sometimes 20-footer,
absolutely.
Double the distance. And, those are ones you definitely don't want to miss. So I appreciate her taking her time there and really making that putt hit solid.
All right, we are moving into the last hole of the front nine. Hole 9, it's a par 3, 375 feet from the ladies' pad. Moderately downhill. We've got OB tight to the right. We've also got OB left. This one is so difficult, and we are going to be playing this again into a pretty tricky wind. Oh, did she kick back in right there?
Oh my God, it kind of looked like it did kick back in, and that's actually something that happens decently frequently. I feel like if you hit that hill with a certain angle, it kind of gets a little roll or a kick.
Mm-hmm. Definitely seen it a few times, but fortunate enough for Sarah to kick back and bounce like that. Anything inbounds on hole 9 is really good.
Yeah, it is. It does open up if you get close to pin high on the left. You can kind of see it's making like a backwards C. Kristen's going with her St. Pro here.
St. Pro still.
Yeah, low and wide. I like the low release here. It doesn't give it time to flip or to hyzer. Unfortunately, it doesn't give it enough time to get to the basket either, but she is safe, and I feel like that's the primary objective on this hole.
It really is. I mean, this hole plays nearly a full stroke over par for the ladies. Needs to hyzer. Oh, just so close. I can't tell if Sarah was inbounds. I believe she was inbounds. She's going to have this approach. And this one's also tricky. She's got a left to right wind right here, so if she exposes it with too much hyzer, it's going to carry it fast to the right.
Oh, and she kind of gets a little skip off the rock. That was fun. She's going to be in the bullseye looking at a par. And just now grabbing the Sonic.
Really? This is such a windy shot for the Sonic. She's going to float it in. You know, her tour partner, Garrett Girthy, brought the Sonic back to life, and I guess he's taught her a few things about how to throw it in.
Uh-huh. Rebecca looking a little bit disappointed there. Couldn't quite connect on that putt. But the tailwind, it looked like a solid stroke, just the tailwind just dropped it quite a bit.
All right, that is a great putt into the right to left wind for Jessica.
And Sarah Hokom tapping in a par. She is the only woman on this card that went bogey-free on that front nine.
Bogey-free.
Pretty awesome in this wind out here at Fox Run with so much OB. She is extending her lead dramatically. The next closest to her is Jessica Weese, 5 back at 1 over par. But the second half is quite a bit longer, and we get into some woods later in the round too. So it's going to be very interesting to see how everyone bounces back on this second nine.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us from the road here. We're having a great time commentating on this women's coverage. Just such beautiful scenery to play disc golf. If you get the chance, put it on the bucket list and join us for the back nine.